How does Brazil get back to their best after Copa America failure? L- Yeah, this is a sensitive topic for me because I'm a Brazil fan, and it's it's very interesting. It's a very interesting situation going on with Brazil. I think we're seeing a Brazil team that's in transition, that's trying to find their new foot. They were really, really poor at this Copa America. They've been poor in World Cup qualifiers. And, you know, it's better to have a poor run, poor campaign entering a Copa America rather than a World Cup. So if you want to look at it from that perspective, you look at it from positive in terms of that. But I will say, in terms of just purely what's going on, um, big concerns. The level of quality in this current national team. I'm not talking about the youth players coming up, because there's some youth players coming up. There's some young elite players making moves to Europe very, very early, which actually could be a detriment to Brazil football, which I'll discuss later. But in terms of youth development and players coming up, there's quality that is coming up. But they're players that lack that Brazilian Jogo Bonito, and they don't have the fear factor that previous Brazilian teams have. They don't have that fear factor. They don't have that flair. They don't have that swagger. They don't have that cohesiveness, that Brazilian cohesiveness, which is just different than just a cohesive team. It's something you can't even explain. When I say the Brazilian cohesiveness of football, it was just total Jogo Bonito. It's in terms of being able to dominate in possession and also be vertical and be quality vertical in terms of being able to beat a man one-on-one and open up space for your teammates. It's being able to control the ball from the midfield, have a number 6 that can dictate the tempo, be a regista, having 8 that's comfortable driving forward with the ball, that can pick out any pass on the field, that has supreme quality. And if you're a Brazilian player, every single player has the best first touch and best quality and best ability to play in tight spaces, and there's no weaknesses in terms of quality amongst the team in terms of ball control. The center backs can pass out, the fullbacks have the ability to go up and to create and also be solid defenders. We don't see that with the Brazil team. This Brazil team has deficiencies. Deficiencies. The midfield. There's no goals in that midfield. There is no goals in that midfield. There's a few quality players, but those players, they can't pick out passes like previous midfielders too. I mean, Andres Pereira, he's starting for some of these games in Brazil, and he's playing at Fulham. He's a Manchester United reject. Lucas Paquetá, he's a clever player, but he's not Ronaldinho. He's not Ronaldinho. Vinicius Jr., he doesn't perform nowhere near the levels that he did for Real Madrid, that he does for Brazil. And to be honest, Vinicius Jr., he's not one of those traditional Brazilian type of players. He's a hybrid of a pacey vertical threat, and that can get a goal, and that has quality, and that has a little bit of flair, but he doesn't have that Brazilian flair. And then Rodrigo, he has some quality here and there, but he's not, the likes of a Rivaldo or anything like that. The last player that Brazil developed with that real sort of flair and that real sort of quality was Neymar. And Neymar will be back into the national team. There's no doubts about that. Once he goes back for his injury, if he can get back to the levels that he was pre that injury, he's going to be part of this national team. He will still be the best player on this national team, and it will help a bit. But the problem is just bigger than the absence of Neymar, and that's what people are forgetting, are trying to ignore with this Neymar injury. It's not just Neymar the problem with this Brazil team, this Neymar injury. It's a lack of Brazilian identity amongst this team. And also, you see in the past, Brazilian players would stay in the Brazil league till they're 20, 21, even 22, and really develop in the Brazilian system and to continue to develop their quality and flair, and they'll be in Brazil and then they'll go on late. The last player I remember do that is also the last player that has that real Brazilian flair, Neymar. Now these top quality Brazilian style of players, They're leaving to Europe 15, 16, and they lack that Brazilian flair that the previous generation had. And I'm starting to think whether or not that has something to do with it, whether or not the development in the fact that they're going to Europe aged 14, 15, 16, 17, is that having something to do with it? Is that the issue? Because um you know, then what is it? Then what is it? Because there's still plenty of players that are getting scouted in the Brazil leagues and all that. Plenty of youth players. So many. Chelsea picked up like three or four. And these are players with real quality, and they're gonna come up. Endrick too. He's another one. Extreme talent, right? But they're losing that Brazilian flair when they go off to Europe just a little bit too early, and they're developing the European style of football, which is not what Brazil does best. That's not what Brazil is. Brazil is Jogo Bonito. They're not the European style, and when they try to play to the style of someone else, they don't play as good. You naturally don't do what you do best whenever you're trying to be like someone else. So I think Brazil, they need to keep their players in Brazil for a little bit longer, let them develop in the Jogo Benito flair style of play, and then send them off to Europe when they're ready to really take that next step in their career and to be an immediate impact. Right now, Endrick, what is the point of Endrick going to Real Madrid right now, age 17? He's not getting into that team when they already have the likes of Mbappe, Rodrigo, Vinicius. He's going to be a big part player, number one. Number two, he's 17. Why is he going there for that early? Why doesn't he continue to develop in Brazil? So then he can make that move later on Real Madrid where he's ready to get into that starting 11 right away. He's going to be a bit part player for Real Madrid now. They're loaded at Real Madrid, and they've won back-to-back Champions League. They're not looking here to give 17-year-old quality minutes game in, game out. It's not going to happen. So what's the point of Endrick going to Real Madrid right now? He should wait at least another 2 seasons, continue to develop, to continue to play at the highest level. He's going to be playing game in, game out at Palmeiras. He's going to continue to develop his flair, his quality, playing game in, game out. What he needs is minutes, not to be, sitting on the bench waiting for Mbappe. That's not what's needed for his development. That's really not what is needed for development. And look, there's been so many moments in Brazil, in terms of Brazilian football, that there's been so many warning signs, and then there's been an outcry for like 5 minutes. Oh, we need to change. The whole thing needs to change. The whole Brazilian system needs to change and go back to the roots of what makes it best. And then 5 minutes passes by and everyone forgets about it, and they just say, okay, no. It's, let's just continue on the way we're going right now. We still have quality players. So many warning signs. You go back, the first one was when Santos got completely destroyed by Barcelona in the Club World Cup. This is what Neymar was playing at Santos, and there was a big uproar as people were saying, but nothing happened. 5 minutes later, they didn't change nothing. You go a few years later, Brazil, in a home World Cup, got completely destroyed and picked apart by Germany 7-1. The biggest humiliation in the history of football. 7-1. And there's no change there. Again, outcry for 5-10 minutes. We need to do this, we need to do that, blah 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 blah. Where's the real change though? What's been the change in the system of how Brazilian players are developed and how, what's going on? There's nothing that's the same. There's nothing different. It's still the same BS that we're seeing right now. What's the problem? Let's go to 2016 Copa America. Now Neymar wasn't playing at this Copa America because he decided to play at the Olympics because he wanted to bring back the Olympic gold medal to Brazil for the first time ever. So there's no Neymar there, but they still took a first team, and they get eliminated in the group stages of the Copa America. This is a combined Copa America Centenarios like the one we had this time around, North America, South America combined. But they failed to get out of a group with Ecuador, Peru, and Haiti. They go on to fire their coach Dunga, and then it's an outcry for about 5 minutes. But then Brazil, they win the Olympic gold medal, and I guess it puts cracks over the crevices because the whole I'll tell you what. As a Brazilian fan, everybody wanted the Olympic gold medal more than the Copa America because of the fact that Brazil has never won it. That was the main focus of that summer, but it happened to cover the holes of the the holes that were exposed at that Copa America. And then Brazil still has talent, so they'll still go on their quarterfinal runs in the World Cup like they did in 2018 and 22. But the way it's going right now, Brazil's not gonna win a World Cup anytime soon. I'm not. They're gonna be a threat at 2026 because there's real quality and all that. But can they win it? I don't know. And for me, it has to be a major shift in terms of the way Brazilian youth players are treated and how the fact that they need to stay more in Brazil longer before they get sent off to Europe. But it's also the players that are coming up, they need more world class players too. And Vinicius, he's supposed to be the talisman of this Brazilian team, but his levels for Real Madrid in Brazil is completely different. I believe he has like 5 goals and 30 plus caps for Brazil. It's just not good enough. And Rodrigo too, his performance levels at Real Madrid is better than what he produces at Brazil. So I think there is a quality issue with this Brazil team. They don't have the quality of previous Brazil teams. And the manager is not the problem, Dorval Jr. Let's just get that out of the way. He's not the problem. It's a player's problem. And I don't know. I think there needs to be a major transition in Brazilian football. I really do. Because if not, I don't think that 6th World Cup is coming anytime soon.